I'm a big favorites guy. You know, I love the people that are just supposed to do it, going out there and fucking doing it.
Oh, yeah.
But my heart's been broken this. Yeah. What is the record? What is the record? Here we go. Dogs are 87-62-1 against the spread this season.
Absurd.
That's insanity. NFL underdogs went 9-5 against the spread, which is, by the way, explains why I had such a absolutely horrendous weekend.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to say I'm a front runner, but I like the greats. I'm like, hey, these greats are going to be great.
You think greats should be great?
I think greats should be great. Like, I just think that should happen. But we have to remember, long season, humans, chemistry matters, camaraderie matters. But boy, the Rams got their asses.
The Rams slaughtered. They seem so like they're 7-3. So let's not.
Believe me, whenever the score was up there and they have their name and then they have the record right underneath 7-2, I'm like, how the fuck did this team?
But
how is this team 7-2 right now when we're looking at other teams that have terrible, like the Colts, like the Patriots, like other teams? It's like, how is this team 7? It's because it is a long season. It is grand. Look what happened with Dallas and Denver, and then look what happened to Dallas Falcons, I guess, 1 week to another. But still, that was alarming, I think.
They seem so much different than last year, though. Last year, they had the number 1 defense, and they had a run game that was just awesome. Now they don't run the ball at all, and they also can't stop the run. I don't know how that happens just in 1 year.
Yeah, and is it scheme? Is it?
They did lose, obviously, Brandon Staley and some players.
Well, you got to remember Brandon Staley also. I mean, he was quarterback at Dayton.
Stop the run, yeah.
He was quarterback at Dayton, but he's defense coordinator, so he sees the game through.
Oh, shit.
Quarterback eyes.
That's interesting.
That's why he's head coach of the Chargers. They're not winning any games either, but they got the Pittsburgh Steelers wounded on Sunday night. Who is going to be able to turn the page on a rough schneid? One bad game primetime. Matthew Stafford stinks crowd very, very loud. I hope for his sake that he does come back and ball out.
Well, I think how people evaluate players now, it's a week by week thing. Like you're saying, okay, Carson Wentz better than Matt Stafford. Are you saying overall you would take Stafford or you take him over Stafford right now, or what are you saying? Like, because next week we know it could completely change. That's what the NFL is.
Hey, it was like that when you were playing too, right? I mean,
quarterbacks or teams. I don't remember as wild of upsets and things happening like this year where you expect teams to win and then they get blown out.
Do the underdog stat real quick so we can get AJ's.
Shouldn't this happen last year during the COVID year where you thought things would be messed up?
Yeah, and then last year we all just assumed, the good teams, since they have the same exact situation, everybody has the same situation, the good teams will be able to figure out how to be great or whatever. This year, nothing makes sense. Nothing. And it has become pretty expensive on my FanDuel account. Nothing makes sense, which, by the way, I'm handing over the reins of the next Super Booster to somebody else. And I can't wait to see who is doing it. Might be AJ, might be Tone, or Gumpy on the Hammered Down Cowboys.
Did you lose all 4 of your bets then last night?
Yeah, dude. All right, I took it.
Did I lose both of mine?
Yes.
Yeah. But you still beat me.
So. Almost got the over, though.
Not really.
It looked like it early on. I might get it. If the Rams could have figured anything out.
It did, but that stat there is wild. This weekend, 9-5. 9-5 against the spread. Underdogs this past weekend. 87-62-1. It's absurd. And it's 17 games.
They were big underdogs, too, though. Remember, the lines were huge.
Yeah, look at this. And then this weekend, the lines are massive. Again, there's an 11. There's a 10.5. There's multiple 7.5s. I mean, there is... I don't think anybody has a clue what's going to happen. Now, somehow the sports books continue to win.
Right.
I don't know how the fuck they know. I mean, what do they know that we don't know? I guess we have to start asking those questions. But this season has been absurd. And the Cowboys, I guess, are a perfect depiction of that. Just a week ago, Teddy Two Gloves was all the way back. The Broncos... Maybe after Von Miller gets traded, they're going to be able to rally and go on a run, that roster. And then they don't.
No.
They did not at all. And then Dallas went the complete opposite direction. When are we going to figure it out, AJ? When do you think? The Thanksgiving? Is that the
playoffs? Maybe? I don't know. It might go into the playoffs where a team lays an egg like as they're going into the playoffs or something the last couple of weeks. It's odd how the Rams continue to just not get anything going offensively, I feel like, last night.
Well, Robert Woods being out, number 2 weapon in a pass-heavy offense, out is a big deal. Now, we just assumed, right? And they did force feed Odell.
Yeah.
Just like Tom Brady did to Antonio Brown whenever he was a Patriot down in Miami, when Tom wanted a little bit more say on who his weapons were. They brought in Antonio Brown out of the Raiders because he had just left the Steelers to the Raiders, celebrated. There was a lot of question marks going on in Antonio Brown's life at that time. It was not a great time, I don't think, for Antonio Brown, the human, as opposed to Antonio Brown, the player. Tom Brady threw him the ball 7 straight times.
Yep.
And that was a message to everybody. Like, hey, we are going to make this guy part of the offense. Also, I appreciate this guy being here. McVay and Stafford, first play, nobody else was getting looked at other than Odell Beckham Jr. I thought we were sitting pretty for the anytime touchdown. And then just a couple plays later, the punt happens for Matthew Stafford's right arm. And OBJ zigs instead of zags, which is what Matthew Stafford thinks. And now everybody's saying OBJ is a cancer to the locker room and the team. And it's just...
I mean, come on.
That's what people are saying, AJ.
I know. Like, can we have a few more games at least before you try to claim this?
No, you can't in this world. And by the way, this is what the NFL would like, right?
Yeah.
Is for this type of instant reaction after every single game, even 10 weeks into an 18-week season. It's hysteria at all times. And to be clear, I'm a part of it. I ride that, and I don't know what's going to happen. I have no fucking clue.
When you look around the league, and I know you probably don't study games if you're not playing the teams, but what do you think it is with all this inconsistency with teams? Like the Rams getting blown out last night by the Niners. Yeah, Niners look great, but we expected the Rams to eventually get it going. And you look around, you see the Bucs just lost again. Like, why is it so tough to win week in and week out and actually be consistent?
Well, it's the league. I mean, that's what they want. It's parity. There's a lot of parity in the league. I think anybody could beat anybody. There's obviously other issues, injuries and COVID stuff at various times. It's forced teams. You look at Pittsburgh losing Ben to COVID and Mason stepping in, and then having a back and forth game that goes to overtime, and overtime is 10 minutes now, and they end up in a tie. And obviously, Washington playing Tampa tough, and you saw it last night. Anybody can beat anybody, truly, and I think the league is very wide open. You had, Jacksonville had a big upset a couple weeks ago.
Buffalo, yeah.
It was surprising to a lot of people. Some teams match up better against other teams, I think, just based on pure schematics. And then, there's always... I think things that can crop up, complacency or maybe a lack of focus, or maybe a team just gets hot in a day and a quarterback gets hot or a defense gets hot and schematically things match up and you're able to stop somebody. And that's kind of league we're in. I mean, Shanahan, I saw last night in San Fran, they've beaten the Rams like a few in a row now, I think, right?
Yes, yeah. He is McVay's kryptonite, it seems like, Shanahan.
And again, they're not calling the game against each other. Shanahan's calling it against defense, and McVay's calling it against defense. But they've found a way to get it done. That's just the league we're in right now. There's a lot of parity. When we started the season, it looked like the NFC was the far superior conference. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 teams undefeated or had only one loss. In the AFC, everybody had at least one loss, if not 2 losses. And now you look at it, and I looked at it before this week. I think it was 11 teams in the AFC had a winning record, and only 11 in the AFC, 6 in the NFC. So the kind of the depth of the AFC is kind of proven itself, and the NFC is kind of separating a little bit more than the AFC.
And I guess, and by the way, you understanding and knowing all that is awesome. I assume that you wouldn't be able to pay attention to the grand scheme of things, but I mean, you have a massive brain, obviously. That is something that is pretty relevant and evident whenever you stop by here.